Hello, Professor. Our group topic is the impact of special advertising on network group buying pricing strategy. And we have three team members, Xinru, Shiyi, and Minyue. And I am Minyue. Our topic is divided into four parts: introduction, problem description and model construction, calculation analysis of sample, and conclusion. Now let me introduce the introduction part. In recent years, with the rapid development of the internet industry and the increasing prosperity of e-commerce, online group buying has gradually become a mainstream transaction form. In order to gain advantages in the increasingly firm market competition, merchants often try to formulate the best pricing strategy in order to get the maximum profit. Therefore, the topic of our research is the pricing strategy in online group buying. Then this paper will take Pinduoduo as a case study, since Pinduoduo is very representative in the aspect of special advertising. Let me briefly introduce group buying first. Group buying has the collective influence as the bargaining capital with the seller, so they may obtain a low price that cannot be obtained by individuals. The group purchase price will be adjusted according to the number of people participating in the group purchase. The more the number of people participating in the group purchase, the lower the commodity price will be. The advertising effect will greatly affect the demand for goods, and then affect the pricing strategy of group purchase. In this paper, we cite Wu Cuilian scholars model, D equal to A plus delta multiple square root A minus B multiple P. Next is the problem description and model construction part. Typically, group buying websites offer consumers two ways to buy: individual purchase and group purchase. Consumers who purchase in the form of group order can get a certain degree of price discount, so that the price of single purchase is P, and the discount difference of group purchase is delta P. Then the price of group purchase is P minus delta P. Consumers who buy in the form of group buying usually need to wait for a period of time or encourage others to buy together, resulting in time cost T and energy cost E. In addition, it is very possible to face the risk of failure. That is, the required number of people is not reached within the specified time, so that the probability of success of group is theta and the group size is G. Traditional advertising refers to a way of publicizing commodity information through traditional media. For example, newspaper, magazines, radio, television, etc. Its role is to enhance consumers' willingness to purchase, thus increasing the demand for commodity. For example, Pinduoduo adopts the famous TV variety show, carry out advertising implementation during the program, and publicize catchy slogans. Pinduoduo has created a series of promotional activities as its advertising strategy: bargain for free, help to enjoy free orders, share red packets, team hunting, and other activities through WeChat group and other social ways. It makes potential consumers in the market to become registered users of Pinduoduo, and then turn registered users into active users and actual consumers, thus expanding the market scale. Next, let my groupmate to introduce.
Thanks, Minyue. My name is Shiyi. Next, I will talk about the model constructed by our group. Based on existing studies in the literature, we have the conclusion that advertising can increase the demand for a good to a certain extent. That is assuming that the input is A and the demand will increase by mu times root A. Here, mu is the advertising effectiveness coefficient, which is only related to the type of advertisement. NGB invests different proportions of traditional and special advertising to achieve maximum effectiveness. Usually, the effectiveness of traditional ones only depends on the level of investment in advertising. However, the effectiveness of special ones is influenced by a number of factors, such as advertisement input volume, scale of potential customers in the market, efficiency of information transformation, proportion of registered users into active users, traffic realization ability. In this paper, we assume that the volume of special ones is NA. N, we call it advertising investment strategy coefficient. And we let the message coefficient be I. Then IA represents the increase in the number of registered users. Because the active users in the platform can bring a real demand, therefore we let eta be the ratio coefficient of registered users to active users. Thus, we obtained these expressions for the number of active users brought in by special advertising effect. Alright, this is a brief list of the parameters. The pink area is the part that haven't been introduced before. Corner marker 2 usually stands for the NGB or special advertising. Corner mark 1 on the other hand. Like here, A1 means potential demand under separate purchase. A2 means potential demand under group buying. And B represents customer price sensitivity coefficient. C is the cost per unit of goods. And lambda means the percentage coefficient of profit extraction by group buying website. The parameter here is a bit tedious. Actually, our subsequent presentation will focus on the entire model building process, and the detailed derivation process can be found in the report. The first step, we get two demand functions. Function 1 is the demand function of separate purchase, and function 2 is the demand function of group buying, which we called NGB. The main idea of these formulas is based on the fundamental potential demand of the market, and plus the promotional effect of the advertising investment, and then minus the price sensitivity fluctuations of the customers and so on. The second step, we get the two profit functions. Function 3 is for the merchant. And it's clear to understand price minus cost, we can get the gross profit and then times the demand. The NGB website takes a certain proportion of the profits of the merchants as its profit, and the proportion is lambda. Then we have the function for NGB website here. Like we mentioned, this model involves the profit of two sides. The cooperation model between the above two parties conforms to the Starburger's master-slaver game module. The NGB website is the leader and the merchant is the follower of the game. Then we decided to solve this module by backward introduction. Next is step 3. The first stage of master-slaver game from the merchant's perspective. Based on the merchant's profit function 2, we can find the first and second order partial derivatives of pi regarding p and delta p. And we adapted hastened matrix. The second stage of the master-slave game from the NGB's perspective is the last step. The same way, based on the profit function of the NGB4, we find the first-order partial derivatives of pi g regarding root A, and P star and the delta P star are the results of maximizing the profit of merchants. So here we substitute these two P to get the final outcome we need. First of all, we obtained the optimal advertising input strategy and the maximum profit for NGB. Next, we can get the optimal pricing strategy and maximum profit for the other side, which we called merchant. And now let's welcome my teammate Xinru to introduce the next section.
Thanks, Shiyi. My name is Xinru. The third part is about the calculation analysis of sample. In this part, I will identify the factors that affect A, P, delta P, pi g for NGB size respectively. Before further validation of the results obtained in the models, we first set some parameters, which are listed in the left. In the case of analyzing optimal advertising input A for NGB website, first check the advertising input strategy coefficient n under the given conditions, and we can find that A and n are negatively related, indicating that the overall advertising size of NGB website should not be too large. One special advertising is heavily weighted and should be scaled down appropriately. Considering the impact of mu, on the contrary, A and mu are positively related, and the magnitude of the change in mu1 to A is more obvious. That is, traditional advertising is still the most important factor in determining overall advertising size, even when the presence of special advertising is considered. The second field is about factors that influence the optimal pricing strategy of P and delta P. In terms of n, with its increase, there is no significant change in the curve of P and delta P, meaning that advertising investment strategy coefficient is not the key factor affecting the optimal pricing. Moreover, these two figures show the effects of mu. With the increase of mu, P increases and delta P decreases to a certain extent. Mu1 has greater influence on P than mu2, while mu2 has greater impact on delta P than mu1. However, the absolute change of delta P and P is not large. It indicates that advertising will affect the optimal pricing of goods to a certain extent, but it is not a determining factor. It is B, the price sensitivity coefficient of the commodity, that determines the price of goods, because with the increase of B, P has a significant decline. And this is also consistent with our understanding of the law of commodity value. Another aspect considers factors that affect merchants' maximize profit pi and group buying websites maximize profit pi g. This figure shows the impact of the advertising investment strategy coefficient n on the pi and pi g. With the increase of advertising investment strategy coefficient n, the maximum profit pi of merchants decreases and pi g increases. while the total profit of merchants and NGB website is basically unchanged. When n increases to a certain degree, these three curves all tend to be stable. It indicates that the advertising investment strategy coefficient n can affect the maximum profit within a certain degree. And it can be seen as a mean to adjust the profit distribution between the merchants and NGB websites. These two figures show the impacts of advertising effect coefficient mu on pi and pi g. Pi increases with the increment of general advertising effect coefficient mu1 and decreases when the special advertising effect coefficient mu2 going up. Pi g increases with the enhancement of mu1 and also increases when the mu2 increases, but in the different increase degrees. The final research direction of parameter is about the total profit of the system. The total profit of the system will increase with the rise of advertising effect coefficient. It shows that the advertising effect coefficient mu has a significant influence on the maximum profit. In order to maximize the profits of both merchants and NGB websites, strategies should be formulated under the condition of reasonable advertising effect coefficient mu. Now, let's welcome my teammates Minyue to give conclusions about this topic.
I'm Liu Minyue. Let me introduce the conclusion part. We get three conclusions. First is advertising investment strategy coefficient n and advertising effect coefficient mu will influence optimal advertisement input volume A. The final scale of advertising investment is determined by traditional advertising. Second, advertising investment strategy coefficient n and advertising effect coefficient mu have little impact on the optimal advertising investment strategy, and the optimal pricing of good is ultimately determined by the nature of the good. This is also conformed to the basic value law of commodities. Third, advertising investment strategy coefficient n and advertising effect coefficient mu affect the maximum profit of merchant and group buying website. It also adjusts the profit distribution between merchant and group buying website. This is all of our report. Thank you.